Trading in fantasy sports is one of my favorite things, but knowing when to trade for a struggling star before he bounces back and when to trade off a hot start before regression hits them is so key to making sure you come out on top on every single trade. In this video, we're going to go over 5 struggling stars who are slumping right now and who I think are very close to turning the corner and start giving us that elite production that we've come to expect from them and that we expected drafting them on draft night. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Chris, and one thing for sure that isn't slumping right now is my silky mini hoop jumper. Okay, before we get into it, we're going to check back to see how I did from my first buy low video posted on October 30th. First up, we had Amen Thompson, who was ranked 205, and now he's ranked 71. Miles Turner, who was ranked 126 to rank 20. Shadon Sharp was ranked 171 to rank 142 before his calf injury. Dyson Daniels ranked 143 to 35. And then these ones were 2 little quick hitters. I didn't really go in depth about them, but Jalen Durant ranked 63 to rank 41, and Cade Cunningham ranked 70 to rank 30. I hate when people gloat about it, but man, not too shabby, right? Not bad for the white boy. But all right, let's get into the video. Okay, first up on the list, we have Kevin Durant. Now, Kevin Durant is one of the greatest scorers of all time, but right now in fantasy leagues everywhere, managers are starting to panic. A couple quiet games, a nagging injury, a small dip in shooting efficiency, and suddenly people are wondering if KD is losing it. And that, my guy, is the exact time to buy low. I'm going to tell you why KD's value has dropped, why I think it's temporary, and how you can steal top 15 elite production at a discount. So why has Durant's value dropped? Well, his rebounds are down, his percentages are down, his blocks are down, as well as his three-pointers. So for his rebounds, which are down almost 1.5 per game, that could be directly related to playing guys with like Thompson, Şengün, and Houston doing some crazy ultra big lineups at the beginning of the year with Steven Adams getting a lot of run. Those 3 guys just know how to get their hands on balls. So maybe there has just been less opportunity for Durant in the early going, but still, the guy is 7 feet tall the last time I checked with a ridiculous wingspan. I fully expect his rebound numbers to creep back up to his career average as the season goes on. It may be a little murkier in years past just based on his teammates and that dynamic there. I think the current situation that Durant's in is the most rebound hungry group in recent years, or that he's been a part of in the last few years, but still, regardless, he's too big, he's too lanky, he's too smart to average below 5 or 6 all year. If we move on to blocks, everything that I just said about his rebounds can be pretty true for his block situation as well. Different team situations, different personnel. He's rarely averaged under a block for his entire career, and he's been in the NBA for a long time, so I don't really expect it to continue just like the rebounds. But when we combine it with the rebounds, both real hustle and grind categories, rebounds and blocks, especially if you're just gifted with a stature like Durant, a wingspan like Durant, maybe Father Time is just catching up to him just a little bit. He could just be saving himself for more on the offensive end and letting dogs like Şengün and Thompson and Steven Adams do all that dirty work compared to situations in years past. I don't know how much I truly believe that though, but it is on my mind, and it is something that I'm watching very closely as the season goes on. We also could just be talking about weird ball luck, that he's not just getting in as many positions to get blocks, or he's just missed blocks. Who knows? I don't know what his like rim defense frequencies are compared to prior years, but it is just something to be mindful of and thinking about going forward. And lastly, probably the biggest thing affecting his value is just the percentages for category leagues and then the 3-pointers made for points leagues with his percentages as well. So he's shooting 48.5% from the floor this year compared to 52.7% last year, and he's shooting 36.4% from 3 this year compared to 43% last year. The threes being the real kicker, since he's only at 1.7 made per game when the last 3 years were pretty much over his entire career, he's been close to 2 or 3. I expect as the entire team gets more settled to playing alongside Durant, learns where he likes the ball, learns how he operates in isolation, both those numbers will pick up. He's still one of the greatest scorers of all time, and his offensive package isn't all that physically demanding, so I don't necessarily believe this decline is age-related at all. He still can get his shot whenever he wants, whenever he wants. Durant has had a ton of mini slumps throughout his career, and honestly, maybe he just hasn't been that focused focused on basketball lately. He's away from the team from personal reasons. Hopefully that's all right. I've seen speculation that his ex-wife or ex-girlfriend had a kid. I have no idea if that's true. Not trying to start a rumor mill, but hopefully all's well with him. So maybe basketball's just put on the back burner. His focus, his preparation, all that's just taking a hit as something heavy weighs on his mind. I know sometimes it doesn't seem like it and a lot of people can forget, but they are just human after all. And what kind of confirms this for me is his usage rate is still elite. His minutes are stable. His shot volume is almost identical to years past. And I think this shooting slump is just a regular variance and nothing to do with decline. So if someone in your league thinks Father Time has caught up to KD, I wouldn't hesitate to trade for him and reap the rewards as he gets more settled in to his new team in Houston. Hopefully he's going to grab a few more rebounds in that area and his three-point stroke will go back to form like years past. A frustrated manager might be treating him like a borderline third-round player right now, and that's when you want to make your move. Any hot start from a mid-tier player and a fringe guy could potentially get the deal done, and that's just such a massive upgrade for your team in the long term. Next up, we'll go with another struggling star in Evan Mobley from the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, a high draft pick in pretty much all cases, Mobley has really just not returned the high level value that we come to expect so far from him in the early going. Now, don't get me wrong, he's still being rock solid, but just not what most people expected selecting him on draft night. Many people also thought he was going to take another leap forward, continue to leap forward this year, and we just haven't really seen it yet. But I do believe it's coming. So why is Mobley's value down a little bit? Well, his field goal percentage is down, his free throw percentage is down, and I think a lot of it has to do is people were expecting another leap forward this year and it hasn't happened, so it's kind of cloud his value, cloud their judgment regarding Mobley. I think we can also contribute a bunch of that to Garland missing a bunch of time, only playing 5 games this year, because when Garland's on the floor, everything that Evan Mobley does, he does better with him, so we can expect and we can hope Garland's going to stay healthy at least for the vast majority of the year, and that should help Mobley settle in, help him continue to improve, and hopefully get back on that superstar path that we expect from him going forward. So for his field goal percentage, Mobley's percentage has dipped 6% from last year and really his career average as well, because in his career he's always been the mid to low 50s, so this is definitely an anomaly for him. Mobley's shot attempts are at a career high of 13.6 per game, but it's not really a dramatic increase compared to last year that could explain this crazy drop in efficiency. But if we look deeper into his shot charts, there are 2 main differences that I want to go over. Okay, so for the first difference, he shot 66.3% in the restricted area in 2024 and is currently shooting 63.3% this year. The league average is still 60%, so he's still excelling in that category, just not as dominant as we've seen from him in years past. Now, that could just be a variety of different things. The quality of looks or the defensive attention, or maybe just simply less open putbacks or entry passes this year, 6 weeks in. Factor in a little ball luck, and I think it'll average out as the season goes on. The second key difference, though, is Mobley is shooting a lot more mid-range, top of the key jumpers than last year, like a lot more. He's already shot 24 of them 6 weeks in, compared to shooting 47 of them for the entirety of the 2024 season. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. I know he's been working on his jumper, especially beyond the three-point line, as it adds another layer to his offensive package, so he could just be settling for more of a pull-up instead of getting all the way to the rim, or players are simply just backing off of him, daring him to shoot it, daring him to beat him with the midi instead of at the basket, where Mobley has just been so dominant in years past. Either way, I don't know if this trend is going to continue. We still are in a relatively small sample size, but it is something to consider and be mindful of for sure. It doesn't really worry me at all, to be honest. It just explains the drop in field goal percentage rather than something with like his role, usage, or mechanics that would be a lot more worrisome. Okay, we'll stay on the efficiency train with free throw percentage. And I always said this a million times and I'll say it again here. Free throw percentage is so hard to predict on a year-to-year basis. It can have such big swings so easily depending on the player. Mobley is shooting nearly 2 more free throws per game, so maybe the extra volume is exposing his percentages just a little bit, but I do think he's better than a 60% from the line type of guy, so I do expect that number to get closer to 70, to get closer to his career average as the season wears on. Besides that though, everything else under the hood statistically looks great. His minutes are up, his usage are up, his shot attempts are up, his 3-point attempts are up, with his percentages held steady, his rebounds are fine, his assists are fine, his steals are up, and his blocks are steady. His defensive floor just remains one of the most elite out of the entire NBA. So when his offensive game picks up, he's just a monster. I'd be looking to buy Mobley everywhere before his percentages stabilize. If someone in your league is getting impatient, take advantage. This is exactly the type of player, exactly the kind of player that finishes much stronger than he starts. The defensive floor, again, is just too elite. If you could package someone like Miles Turner and a role type player for Mobley, I would smash accept that. I would fucking break my phone accepting that trade so fast. I'm definitely buying now before his mid-range stabilizes and he gets back to attacking the rim more consistently. So let's stick in C-Town with Darius Garland. Now, Darius Garland came into the year on IL, came into the year hurt, which definitely suppresses ADP to a point where I was smash drafting him everywhere in drafts this offseason. He unfortunately re-injured himself, being limited to only 5 games thus far, and frankly just hasn't looked himself in the limited action. I've had people ask about dropping him in the ad drop commas, which is just wild to me. So I know his value in some leagues can be extremely low and managers are definitely panicking on him. And I get it. You draft him, you hold on to him, he comes back, he doesn't look that good, and then he gets hurt again. Just an absolute kick in the nuts, a kick in the dick. Or some people might be kicking themselves for drafting him in the first place. I have no idea what my obsession with the word kick was there, but shit. We plow on, baby. Okay, so back to why Garland's value has dropped, or why it's perceived to drop. So the main thing with him is just being able to stay healthy. He wasn't healthy to start the year, and he hasn't been healthy since he's returned to the court. And in that limited sample size, he just looks like crap. So why do I think he's bound to bounce back, or why his play should eventually change? Well, I think everything really about his poor start 5 games in is just about missing time in the offseason and returning slowly from an injury. I'm not concerned about it at all, really. Maybe if this was 20 games in and he was still building brick houses with his jumper out there, then sure. But I think legit, this guy is just trying to work himself back into game shape. Nothing about his role or usage has changed. Sure, the shot attempts are down a little bit, and he's nearly 5 minutes less per game right now, but he's just being brought along ever so slowly because the Cavs just have no reason to rush him at all. They want him healthy for the stretch run. They want him healthy to make a deep playoff run this year. Some meaningless regular season game for them 20 games in isn't their priority. They want to make sure he's 100% completely healthy, put this toe injury behind him, and then go from there. Once the minutes pick up and Garland stays healthy enough to get into some rhythm on the offensive end, I expect to see more of the Garland we saw last year, where he was easily a top 50 player, ranked 36 on average for 9cat, who's going to score, assist, sprinkle in some boards, be a steals specialist, and hit his fair share of threes while all being decent from the floor. If the manager in your league has just had enough of Garland, is completely flaccid on his long-term outlook, this is a premium buy low window that you need to take advantage of now before Garland goes out there and has a classic 28 and 10 game and reminds everyone just how good he is. I don't think it'll take much to pry Garland away from whatever fantasy manager has him in your league, and I think it's a perfect opportunity to do it now. Okay, we'll move on from Cleveland and head west out to Portland with Toumani Camara. Now this one is definitely more category league based, and I know if you look at his box scores, hasn't been stuffing it up like your mom stuffs up that turkey on Thanksgiving dinner before you absolutely fill your gullet and just shit your brains out later on, or at least not consistently enough for our liking. And many people were expecting a breakout type of year for Camara coming into this season, so there could definitely be some resentment on that guard, but I still have faith it's coming, and I'll explain why. So first off, we have to understand why his value has dropped, or why his perceived value has dropped. Well, his field goal percentage is down, his 3-point percentage has dipped, well, mainly just not improved, and he's just been way too inconsistent 6 weeks in for fantasy managers. So why do I think he's gonna bounce back? Well, Camara's minutes are completely locked in. Coaches absolutely love this guy. He legit plays winning basketball. Portland needs him and wants him on the court as much as possible as an elite perimeter defender, regardless if his shot is falling or not. Camara can switch, rebound, cut, defend wings, defend guards. He's practically interchangeable all over the court and just makes him so valuable for any NBA team, especially Portland. Camara's defense is definitely his calling card. He's a motor on the defensive end. He's always near the top of the league in deflections each year. His versatility is in the 96th percentile. His steals are currently down at 1.2 compared to 1.5 last year, where last year he was also averaging 2 minutes less per game. The steals should stay steady or honestly slightly increase as the year goes on. Camara is starting to pick up his blocks, which isn't surprising. Has a 6'7" wing with a 7.5-foot wingspan. You know, only if I had that, my mini hoop game would just be taken to the next level. I'd honestly have to move to China and start my pro mini hoop career. But just like my mini hoop jumper, I think Camara's offense will come, and it was one of the major things heading into this year that Camara could increase his three-pointers, increase his percentages as that spot-up type shooter guy. And while his percentage has dipped from 37.5% to 31.9% so far, his attempts have actually went up from 4.6 to 6.6, which is a really good thing, a really good sign. Camara's been consistently getting up over 10 shots per game, has an incredibly reliable defensive floor, as you've listened to me spiel about it already. He rebounds, he dishes out some assists. If the threes start falling at a more consistent clip and at a better clip, and he continues to slightly improve his efficiency in every other aspect of his game, we will easily have a floor of a top 75 player going forward. He does need to keep his turnovers in check though, but it's someone that we could practically get for free. He may even be available in a shallower league's waiver wire. So if you're in a competitive league, this is definitely the time, as you want Toumani before the scoring bump comes, not after. Because once those minutes in defensive floor, those defensive stats get paired with just even an average offensive game, average offensive production, Camara is going to soar up category league rankings and be a crucial stock contributor that managers just won't want to give up. And last up, we got Jaren Jackson Jr. Now, a lot of people are down on Triple J, and rightfully so. Memphis does look like complete dog shit. Morant is hurt, and his early season numbers, Jaren Jackson Jr.'s early season numbers are down in multiple categories, at least from what fantasy managers expected coming into the year after they drafted him. So why has Triple J's value dropped, or his perceived value drop? Well, his points are down from 22.2 to 17.8 this year, which is a pretty significant drop. His steals are down from 1.2 to 0.4 this year, which is kind of crazy because he's always been an over steal per game type of guy his entire career. His three-pointers are down, and then also his efficiency. His three-point percentage and field goal percentage are both down this year. So why do I think he's going to bounce back, and why do I think he's a buy low candidate? Well, regarding JJ's points, I'm just going to call him JJ. It's way easier. He's currently attempting 3 less shot attempts per game, which, yes, I know it's not a good thing, especially if he hasn't had a major increase in his efficiency, which he hasn't. It's actually went down. It's got worse. Memphis has been tragically bad. They did play better tonight though, but Morant has missed games. JJ has missed a couple games. He's getting into foul trouble a lot more this year, which is hurting his minutes. His whole offensive package just seems out of sync watching him. A big part of that could be the offseason surgery that Jackson had, screwing up his camp, training, and preparation. He could still be shaking off a bunch of the rust from missing his usual offseason workouts and not quite in full form just yet. I think a lot of people actually do underplay this. Expect these guys just to come and be ready and perform at the top level in the world with no offseason and be fine, when in reality, it just doesn't work that way. You see it all the time across every sport, not just basketball. Jackson does have a great track record. Prior 2 years, he's averaged over 22 points per game and at 17 and 16 attempts per game. I see no physical reason why he's now a 17 point per game player all of a sudden, regardless of how bad the team is around him. Jackson is just simply too talented for this. Memphis needs playmakers. They're starved for playmakers, and Jackson's the best thing they've got, especially with Morant out for injury. Everything does need to flow through him, and I think his usage will just stay too high for him to be under 20 points per game by season's end. Now, the steals are way down, and this just could be because Memphis gets absolutely worked on the defensive end each night, and teams can just do whatever they please. Memphis is currently ranked 28th in defensive rating, so nothing comes hard for opposing teams against them, even if Jackson does get his hands on their balls. We all know steals can fluctuate. He's usually in the upper percentile for deflections each year. Here's hoping that he gets a bit more ball luck and Memphis stays competitive later into games, and this should bounce back at least slightly. The track record for his steals is just too good to simply think this is who he is now going forward. JJ's field goal percentage is down slightly, and his three-point percentage too. Again, he had a different ramp-up period this year with a limited offseason. He could still be adjusting, getting back into it. He's only played 16 games. If both these were improved slightly and we get back to 16, 17 shot attempts per game like we've seen in the last few years, without a doubt, Jaren Jackson Jr. will be back averaging into the low 20s, which will be a massive boost for his fantasy value everywhere. Memphis also just handed out a fat contract to Jaren Jackson Jr. for a reason. I believe they want to build around him and are open or at least willing to move him around, which would just leave Jackson in a usage monster role. And regardless, if his steals or percentages don't improve, the counting stats would just inflate him drastically. Now, Memphis is and will be a bad team. There is potential shutdown risk in the second half of the season if it continues this way, if it continues to go sideways. The one little saving grace is, thankfully, he's secured his contract, so maybe he will play through it, just sit out a little bit more than usual, but nobody can predict the future, not even me. I believe in his upside, though, and his ceiling as sort of a boom or bust fantasy option each night, with hopefully more booms than busts the rest of the way. If you can get Jaren Jackson Jr. for cheap right now, I definitely do it. He's been a top 50 ranked player on average the past 2 seasons, and if he just stays relatively healthy, I wouldn't put him past it. I wouldn't put it past him to creep back close to that 50 to 60 rank mark by season's end. What do you guys think? Are you guys too scared of Jaren Jackson's slow start, or maybe a potential shutdown risk, or that Memphis is just tragic this year? Let me know in the comments down below. And also, maybe it's just a little bonus guy, Cooper Flag. How are we feeling about Cooper Flag if you're a flag owner in fantasy right now? I'm a little worried about this Dallas situation, what they're going to do in the second half. I don't like that the owner's stepping in and asking for health reports from AD. I have no idea what's going to go on. I think Dallas is going to be completely out of the playoff picture in the second half. Usually with rookies like Flag, you can expect them to get better as the season goes on, as they get more adjusted, more acclimated to the speed and physicality of the NBA. But maybe hits like a little bit of a rookie wall, being asked to do too much in his first year. Like the talent, the raw talent, and his fantasy game being able to contribute in the stock categories and pretty much just in every category is just so tantalizing. Though I'm really curious how people are feeling about him. What do you think? Flag is a buy low? Are you holding on to Flag no matter what? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm legit curious. All right, boys, but I think that's it for this video. I appreciate you guys staying watching this whole thing. Smash like this video if you like it, smash dislike if you didn't, hit that hype button, and subscribe to me if you want. I know a ton of you aren't subscribed, so make sure you click that button, turn noties on so you don't miss a video. I'm gonna be having part 2 of this video, sell high candidates, releasing sometime early next week or in the middle of next week, so stay tuned for that. Happy Thanksgiving if I release this on Thursday for all you American guys out there, but if not, have a good rest of your week, weekend, day, night, wherever you are, and I'll see you guys real soon.